Hey, how's it going there, Rick Morty? How you doing? Info Rip, what's up, bro? 17 you on already, nice. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a couple sets of stuff in here just to keep warm the garage, because even if I put the heat on in here, it's just cold as hell still. So we got lots of snow outside, and yeah, so I figured I'd jump on here like I'm supposed to. Tips on getting shredded and maintaining weight: eat enough of the right food, and don't eat so much of the shit food. That's really the key to it, really. You know, if you diet off too much or go too low in your calories, then you're just gonna be, and I hate using the word calories because people overgeneralize, but if you eat too little of the protein and you basically are just looking at numbers like calories as a end all be all, you're gonna end up screwed up. You're gonna just lose body weight in a good way. You're gonna lose your muscle mass, right? Hey, Kung Fu, how's it going, bro? Or I mean, girl, because you said you're a girl because you didn't want me to shave. So, hey there, Leslie, how you doing, buddy? First name, last name, how you doing, bro? I like that. That's a good one. Luke S., you missed the last week. Oh man, you're not much of a Gallantian, my friend. How's my week? My week's okay. Yeah, just playing some video games here and there, and doing videos and filming outside, but it was rough, like for snow. Like the snow was so bad that I was like, you'll see anyway. I'll do some clips and stuff, and you'll see the videos that I'm going to upload. But it's been a little rough trying to film outside with the wind and the storm and it being so cold and stuff. So it doesn't make the best footage. Also, when it's dark and anyway. Hey, were you in Millbrook jail about 20 years ago? I think I bet you. No, I was not. Fuck. I was not in Millbrook jail. Fuck. No, I was not. Crazy Gaming, I just got back from the flu. Do you have any tips on how to get your appetite back? Well, if you don't have the flu, your appetite should be coming back pretty quick. But eat clean. That's the best way to say it. Like not eating lots of fats and sugars and things. You're going to notice your appetite comes back real quick. You got a show on May 23rd. When should you start your cut? Well, that depends on how fat you are there, Harold. Depends on what body fat percentage you're at. But I'd say minimum 3 months ahead of time, depending on what age you are, is also going to make a difference. So your metabolism and age make a difference. I used to cut just for 2 months for contests because I was already pretty lean. But as I got more and more, like I said, as my body got more stubborn to get lean, I would have to take 10 weeks to 12 weeks to really kind of hone that system down. So I would say minimum 8 weeks for sure, though. Francis Drake, in the mountain pack bounds. Yes, it can. Yes. Yeah, the fires have settled down. Yeah, I saw, Leslie, that you got some rain in Australia. You're welcome. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I could take credit for that, but there's a lot of people praying for Australia. A lot of people in Canada and the States were doing it. So, yeah, I'm glad you guys got some rain. Let me just do another warm-up set here. I figured I'd do some warm-up sets, and I'm just going to be doing some lighter weight just to stay warm in the garage. And, yeah, if you guys have questions, I want to make sure I see the question, donate a super chat or donate to my channel on PayPal on my website, naturalbodybuilding.com. That helps me continue to make these chats every week on Friday at 4 p.m. Pretty much 4 p.m., sometimes a little bit later, whatever. But yeah, so there's the rules, all right? Mountain, how would someone fare in a bodybuilding show with a pec gap? That depends on the show, but yeah, unfortunately, you know what? If you have muscle tears, it depends on what the reason the pec gap. I mean, if you're talking about a genetic predisposition, it depends on who shows up, honestly. But the thing is that genetics is a part of bodybuilding, and if your shape is not in alignment with what they're looking for, then yeah, you could lose a show, and that's just the bottom line. So that's why it's also hard for me to justify competing now, because there's some things that are outside my control with the bicep tear and the dislocated shoulder. So it makes me, when I pose, I have to really concentrate on trying to even out the shoulders, and it kind of throws off my physique a bit. So yeah, some of these things are not really controllable by you. They're just limitations that are there. And yeah, being judged by them is just a recipe for disaster, honestly. It's just a recipe to invoke suffering in you. You know what I mean? Like, so why even bother subjecting yourself to it, really? If you can do it without being bothered by being judged by things that are not controlled by you, then do it. But if you think that you're going to be in suffering because you take second place because of stuff you can't control, and you're going to be obsessed about this pec gap thing or whatever, then I wouldn't recommend competing, honestly. How many years did I compete? I competed from 1996 to 2002. Put some more on here. Bruce Bonson, how you doing? Thanks, buddy. Thanks for the $5. This is like a video game live stream, see? So I'm playing the game of lifting weights. It's amazing how much money some of these guys make. I mean, I do appreciate the entertainment value and the ability some of these video game players have. So I'm not condemning them by any means. I mean, it takes a lot of skill that some of these guys have. They're just so elite at what they're doing. But I watched this one guy TP or whatever, TEEP on live stream sometimes, or sometimes I watch him on YouTube. That guy's nuts at the game Call of Duty and Blackout. Pretty good. But I heard he makes quite a bit of money live streaming. So yeah, I guess this is what we're doing. We're live streaming, working out. We're doing the live stream working out thing. It's kind of like playing a video game except with weights. And I never win. I never win this game. That's a disclaimer. What's the best pre-workout meal to have? Depends on your goals, Leslie. Depends on your goals. Depends on what you want to do. I've read you can lift 10 to 20% more just from the mental state when being watched by others. Well, not in my case, but what's the pose you like the most in bodybuilding? Front double biceps? Yeah, I think the front double biceps is a pretty amazing pose, yeah. I also like the rear double biceps. I find that's amazing for showing the overall back with arms and hamstrings, everything. That's pretty good. Nice Torrin Forsberg. Yeah, nice to see her watching my stuff. Have you tried hex press? I don't know what hex press is. If you're assuming, or if you're talking about like the triangle bar, like the thing that people deadlift with from the floor, that triangle bar, and then pressing with that instead or something, if that's what you're talking about, I would say no. The reason why is that if I cannot adjust my grip this way or that way, and it's stuck in one position, that's kind of a danger, because depending on how tall you are will depend on how you should be pressing. So I like to be able to adjust things based on how my body likes to move. And if I can't adjust it, then there's a little bit of a risk there. So I don't like that. You know, it's like there's this guy at the gym, he always does the presses, like a log press, but the log press has two handles at a specific length, and then he'll go around judging everybody based on what they can lift or what they can't, because he can do it or whatever. Meanwhile, he's like 6 feet tall, and other people will be different heights. So it's a stupid measuring stick to measure people by, because it's going to be a different type of movement for each person, because they're going to be built different, and their grip is not going to be adjusted accordingly, right? Let's go in there, MMA. Parallel with the torso. Joe Smith, write out the entire thing of what you're talking about, because I'm just getting piecemeals from you. So hex press, parallel with the torso, like what part? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So what's your opinion on Dorian Yates' HIIT training for muscle growth? Well, first of all, it's not Dorian Yates' HIIT training. It was Mike Mentzer's. So Dorian Yates was not the grandfather of that, although he had an amazing physique. But yeah, I did a video on it. I don't agree with HIIT training. For the most part, it's not going to work for most natural bodybuilders. The only guys that I saw really grew from it, that really had impressive physiques, were guys that weren't natural. Honestly, that's the truth. I'm not saying I'm not open to people trying it, and I think every technique has its time that might give you some results. So I'm not saying that that's wrong. I mean, I would love to be able to train once a week or once every 2 weeks and get results, right? But I just don't think that's going to work for most people. It's just not. Clayton Wilson, on average, how many sets do you recommend per body part per workout? Clayton, if you want my exact answer to that, get one of my workout programs on my website. And because I cannot answer your question, just so you know, it's impossible for me to answer your question because it depends on what split you're doing. It depends on how many days a week you're working that body part. It depends on what weight you're using. It depends on like what intensity. You know, these things all play a role in how your body's going to adapt and what it needs to do. And also will depend on your individual constitution too, which is also impossible for me to answer because some people won't have the same type of constitution as somebody else. So they won't be able to adapt from as many sets or maybe they need more sets, who knows? Okay, we're good there. Okay, thanks Leslie for the $10. Get to see my bloodshot eyes as I come off the bench. Who was more impressive, Yates or Cutler? I found Yates. I think Yates was more impressive, although Cutler was great too, but there was something really rock hard about Yates. Really dense that I liked, yeah. Jimmy Bagger Donuts, did you not tune into my last chat? Somebody asked last chat, actually, what do you think about the Vince Gironda 36 eggs a day diet? Least favorite fitness YouTuber, Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. And so Jimmy Bagger Donuts, now that you've sat in the corner for a second, I'll answer your question, but now I know you're not tuned into the chat, so you might end up on the mountain. And there will not be a bag of donuts waiting for you up there, just so you know, okay? So 36 eggs a day, I mean, depending on whether eggs are good for you or not, depending on the person, eggs don't agree with me 100%, although I have them in a protein shake here and there. But yeah, there's definitely some argument for a person that's on a protein and fats diet to do that. But they definitely have to lower the carbs to compensate, depending on how much their calories they need a day, you know, their metabolism, depending on what their metabolism dictates as far as caloric intake, because there's a lot of fat in that. It's a lot of good fats and a lot of good minerals and vitamins, but it wouldn't be good for me because eggs don't agree with me enough for me to digest them properly, right? Yeah. Is the mass that the deadlift puts on your physique? I'm assuming you're saying physique, not unique. Or can it be added with other exercises? Yeah, for sure, 100%. A lot of times deadlift, I mean, what gives out fat first in the deadlift, honestly? Your lower back. Your lower back gives out, and your grip, of course, assuming if you're doing just naked grip or not. So that only stands to reason that there's a lot of muscles that aren't actually hitting failure. And I'm not saying deadlift's not a great exercise for people who are built for it. It really is. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but can you achieve muscle mass without it? Well, I did. I really didn't do deadlifts, especially from the floor. I really didn't do heavy deadlifts. I did them for a short period of time in 2001 for about 6 months. But I found that they were just so hard on the lower back, no matter how I adjusted my stance or whatever, that it was taking away from my training more than giving me results. So yeah, I found that there's some definite positives to it. So I don't want to sound like I'm actually beating up on the deadlift, because sometimes just by pulling on the shoulders and everything, sometimes the arms stabilizing the shoulder joint and everything, there can actually be some muscle mass put on that way there as well. But you always have to ask yourself with an exercise, is this exercise for me hurting me or helping me? And sometimes there's a percentage of both going on. And if the hurting is kind of a little bit more than the helping, then you need to either figure out how to do the exercise without it hurting you. Maybe it's different weights, different sets, different reps, different type of training program, different range of motion, whatever it might be. And then from there, if no matter what you do, it doesn't do it, then replace that exercise altogether with something else. Samuel Denman, I get the squirts on 36 eggs. Yeah, I probably would be the same. Also, I find my metabolism, and this is kind of a weird thing. When you eat certain foods, sometimes if you have a food sensitivity, sometimes you'll retain water. You'll get heartburn or indigestion, maybe in many different ways, or your metabolism kind of shuts down. I find when I have a lot of eggs, I get colder all of a sudden, which is probably a sign that my metabolism's kind of going, like, slowing down, but it could be something else that's causing that. But I notice that I get colder, so it's probably not the best. But again, I've never done the 36 eggs a day experiment. If I did it, it would be an interesting thing to watch, I guess, maybe, but I don't think it would have, just because I have a food sensitivity to eggs a little bit, I find it probably wouldn't be the best thing for me. I have Phoebe Rees, just dropping by to say hello. How you doing? 12:32 where you are. Got to get some sleep. All right, brother. Yeah, have a good night. Reverse grip bench for big triceps. What's my opinion? Do not do it. For most people, it'll actually wreck your shoulders because your bicep is not able to stabilize properly. For me, it's a mess. Reverse grip bench press is totally unnatural and puts way more strain on the shoulders than is needed. And at the same time, if you think about it, you're not bench pressing like this. I mean, even if you do this with your arms, and that's where the triceps will really get hit. You come down like this, even if you bend the arms a little bit and then push, you're going to get some tricep for sure, but you're going to get a lot more delts because this is the movement, right? It's more like that for most people. So I find just do close grip. If you're going to do tricep, don't mess around with the reverse. I mean, unless of course you find it doesn't hurt you, but for me, it's brutal. Should you train close to failure? I'll be doing a video on that there, Diego, pretty soon. What's my opinion on the carnivore diet? I like it a lot more than the vegan diet, I'll tell you that. Samuel Denman, do I drink coffee every day? Most days, yeah. Sometimes I don't. How much does pre-workout supplements actually help during a workout? Well, I find BCAAs and glutamine and stuff can really help. I know I had that idiot at my gym talking to me about how he knows everything. And he's another one of those idiots with a book with him everywhere he goes. But all he does is cite studies and this and that, not thinking that there could be some limitation on it and some variables that are not taken into account in the study. But I found, as a person who does drink coffee, and caffeine is in coffee, whatever, the energy I get from BCAAs is a totally different type of energy, totally different. It's more sustainable. It feels pure. It feels like nourishing in some way. So I'd say BCAAs do definitely give me energy when I go to the gym. And who knows? Maybe it's because maybe my stomach doesn't digest protein as well as somebody else. Maybe I have some sort of digestion issue or something that causes the BCAAs to be more efficient because they get absorbed to the stomach wall really fast or whatever. So there could be a lot of reasons for this, but I do find some pre-workout supplements work well. I just try to avoid the ones with the chemical caffeine and stuff. I just get the stuff with branched chain amino acids or taurine or glutamine or something like that. But I don't take in unnatural sources of caffeine, because it is a different structure altogether than something you get in tea, right? Do I let out pent-up aggression when lifting? Not necessarily. No. I don't really have too much pent-up aggression. You'll see my aggression come out immediately as soon as I don't pent it up. You know what? That's the thing, Samuel. Lemon coffee is supposed to help people with digestion, especially people that have trouble with elimination. I've never had that issue, but people that say have colon issues or pooping issues, problem with that, then caffeine or coffee, not caffeine, but coffee is supposed to really help. So when I work out, I can't fucking talk. That's why I'm not usually doing live chats and working out at the same time. Somebody's saying, will you watch my stream? Lol. Probably not. Okay, let me do another sit here. Can you guys see me when I'm benching here? I hope you see it. I am touching my chest with the bar. I'm playing around with that lately, just doing that. Well, not because it's better, but just because it's different. Sometimes I like to make things different, you know? But if I'm lifting super heavyweight, then I probably won't be touching my chest just because I do like to be conservative in the range of motion when I'm actually using heavy weight, that's all. Coffee anyway, no thanks. Okay. What are the best carbs for pre-workout? Sometimes no carbs. Depends on how much. Again, so many general questions and answers, right? It depends on you. Depends on what carbs bring your blood sugar up and down real fast. Simple sugars right before a workout, like I'm talking about 5 minutes before a workout, can be okay. But again, before a workout, depends what you mean by before. You see what I'm saying? You see my problem here? It's like, if it's an hour before a workout, if you have a ton of white rice or breads or whatever, or pastas, you might be bloated and not even digested that food by the time you get to the gym if you're not necessarily able to digest those foods properly. And one thing I notice is that you won't digest those foods the same if you're having a high amount of fat intake at the same time as having those things. But once you cut the fat out of your diet or cut it lower, now all of a sudden those things digest at a faster rate. So again, that will change how you feel when you get to the gym, right? So a guy that's eating a lot of cheese and a lot of fat and whatever, and then he has a burger or has a chicken burger or something like that, hour before the gym, might feel bloated and not able to train by the time an hour passes. So yeah, it just depends on the circumstance. So when I'm on lower carbs and I'm only having like 2-3 meals a day, doesn't matter when I have those carb meals, I can have them right before the gym and I'm still fine. Ideal intake while on a cut, I'd say at least 1 gram per pound of body weight for sure. Yeah, Joe, everybody's grip is going to be different on bench. Some people have to bench wider, some people have to bench narrower. And depending on whether you're going narrow or whether you're going wider, that sometimes will change your range of motion because we're all different. Our joints move differently, right? If I go too narrow or medium, then I find out elbows have to come in a lot more and then I have to bench like this. And then it becomes real front delt for me. But I do get a bit of a chest squeeze at the top because once again, when the arms are here and not here, there's a little bit more of a chest squeeze. So there's a different dynamic that goes on. And I also get a little bit more tricep. But at the bottom, I don't get the same stretch. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. Yeah, so just play around with it, see what feels right for you. Yeah, Leslie Jackson, more than anything, it's not about energy for a workout. Don't think about energy for a workout from your meal before the workout. What you ate in the last 24 hours is going to dictate more of what your energy is going to be like for the workout, not that last meal before the training. Okay? Philip Melnick. Hey, Philip, how long have I been training? I'm just being a smart ass here, Philip, but I want you to answer, okay? How long have I been training? Do you know? Have you been around this channel long enough to know, or? Isn't it safer to do pin presses or board presses instead of you forcing not touching your chest? No, not really. It can be safer, but at the same time, you're giving up that constant tension, right? So if you're giving up constant tension, you're not going to get the same results. So people forget that powerlifters, these guys, first of all, are working with maximal poundages more often, right? Which bodybuilders aren't doing if they're smart. Second of all, when you are touching something and then just resting at the bottom instead of just touch and go, what's going to happen is you're going to be working the nervous system a lot more because you're resting and now you're just trying to fire without taking advantage of that elastic energy in the muscle. So this is a great powerlifting technique, but it's a horrible bodybuilding technique because you're resting. Cool, Philip. So in 30 plus years, you don't think that I tried 10 sets per body part? You obviously have not bought any of my training programs because I do have training splits with somewhere around those types of sets and stuff. So yeah, I've tried everything from 15, 16 sets per body part to 2 sets of body part or 1 set of body part, 5-day-a-week type stuff. I've tried a lot of different techniques, right? So yeah, I have, of course. And I'm not saying it's not valid. And if you watch some of my old videos on this channel, I've even done a 2-day split where I was still doing about 10 sets per chest, even though I was on a 2-day split. So yeah, that answers your question right there. Watch my training vlogs, man. Do massages help for growth? Yes, they do. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny how I see some people lift, like with the bench press. We're talking about bench press technique, and there's guys out there just like, they're neurotic as hell. They're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then they're like, and then they're trying to dip themselves, and then their head's out there, and they're trying to, you know, make sure they're arched like a freaking gymnast by the time they do their bench. And I understand they're trying to get their mind into the technique and all this kind of stuff, but you don't have to go through such an extravagant sort of scenario in order to get yourself set up on the bench, honestly. And a lot of times I find that people are obsessed so much with lifting weight, they don't think about how they're lifting it. Like, if I totally cheat lifting with bicep curls, people are all over my ass. They're like, oh, that's so easy, what's wrong with you, whatever. But then they don't think of something as simple as if I stick my chest out and I'm actually doing a decline because my chest is out so much, they're not even thinking that that is actually some form of cheating when really it is. You're going to be able to lift way more weight doing it this way as opposed to doing it maybe this way. There's going to be a difference anyway. So this is something people don't take into account. And I'm not saying it's wrong to stick the chest out. I mean, you want to be stable in that shoulder girdle, and you want to basically make sure the shoulders are stable, and you want to lift efficiently. But at the same time, I find it funny how people will overlook some ways that people do their exercises for efficiency. And then when somebody does that same efficiency with something else, they're like hanging them, like they're crucifying the person for it. And I'm like, well, wait a second. On the deadlift and on the bench press, you were trying to find efficiency. So then when I'm doing it on the bicep curl, you're saying it's wrong? Like, what the fuck, right? So this is the real weird thing about YouTube and the neurotic kind of idiots around here. It's nuts to me. Thanks there, Nada. Is that 99 cents because you're proud that I'm alive because I didn't die in a winter storm yet? Nada and I were talking about the winter and what is the definition of cold, right? So he said, there's no snow on the ground, so it's not cold. And I'm like, well, you know what? Thanks a lot, man. 2 days later, there's a bunch of snow on the ground. I'll even show you, watch. Look at this. Look at that. Snow everywhere. Mountain snow up there too. Of course. It is deep. Deep, deep, deep. Philosophical deep. It's like philosophy. That's how deep it is. Adrets 400. When I do low bar squats, whenever I hit 200 plus pounds, I feel a slight tension pain, which goes away after a while on my lower back. Is it a sign of weak core or my form breaks down? I don't know. I mean, it could be a lot of things. Sometimes it could be just that you're more extended here and you're arched more a little bit at that point, and then some muscle knots that you may have in your lower back or upper back are kind of trigger pointing up. Maybe it's something in your shoulder that's trigger pointing up or a knot, and then it's referring down to your lower back, or maybe one of your QLs or something, or your lats. That could happen too. So yeah, get some massage, see if that helps. Oh, nice, Taylor Dawson. Yeah, thanks for ordering a shirt there, Taylor. Hey guys, if you want a shirt or something like that, there's different types of mountain shirts. That reminds me. Thanks, Taylor, for doing that. This is one variation of the mountain shirt, sweater, zip-up hoodie. There's different colors and stuff, and I got t-shirts and everything. And then there's another one that Sam Weller just did, which is awesome. So thanks, Sam, if you're watching. Awesome logo. So yeah, check that out. It's at naturalbodybuilding.com. There's a link, and you click, and then you go right to this website, and you can check through all the different paraphernalia and stuff. There's stickers, there's mugs, there's everything. So check it out, man. Nada's laughing. You're laughing at me because I survived. That's like I can visualize it now. It's like evil laughter. It's like hoo-ha, 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 right? Leslie Jackson can't see me live at the moment. Yeah, then maybe there's maybe some sort of connection issue on your end there, Leslie. You guys, the rest of you guys can see me? Rest of you guys can see me? I'll wait till you let me know. Yeah, Joe, I'm not going to get started on that. I mean, I almost erased my last live stream because it's one thing I don't like about going live is that sometimes things come out, you say things, and you're like, you know. Some people might not understand the context of what I was saying or why I was saying it. So it's always the issue with when you're recorded speaking, things always get taken out of context. I see you, damn it. Yeah, there you go, Kung Fu. I know. You're blessed with my beauty. Blessed with the beauty on the screen, yeah. That's right. I must improve my bust. Right from the 50s there. Can you grow from 2 full body workouts per week? Yeah, depending on where you're at in your training, right? You can grow from 1 full body workout once a month if you don't train that much. Depends on where you're at, right? If you're a beginner, you can grow just from training once every 2 weeks. And then at some point, your body will get to the highest point of adaptation from that type of training, and then it will say, okay, time to increase volume. Anyway, I talk about this all the time, okay? So here we go, all right? You train, you give your body a message. It responds to that message. So say you can lift 50 pounds, right? Let's just say just a number like 50 pounds, okay? You can lift 50 pounds. Then the next week you go, you can lift 50 pounds. The next week you go, you can lift 50 pounds. And then maybe some week it comes to 51 pounds for the same amount of reps, or 52, right? At some point, you'll realize that no matter how many or how consistent you are, the weight will always be the same no matter what you've done with your diet, your sleep, whatever. Then at that point, just raising the weight in a linear fashion is no longer working. Now you need to do something different. You need to either change the rep ranges up, like I said, shock the system, or you need to seriously look at having more volume. So the body says, well, geez, you know, I'm only training once a week, so 6 days a week or longer, I'm sitting on my ass. So do I really need to get stronger? And then from there, you need to work with the body and say, okay, I need to remind it more often. Hence the 2-day split programs I have on my website. This is the very, very principle around them. So my point is you're going to hit a wall. And when you hit that wall, something needs to change. And usually what needs to change is that you need to increase the stimulus through a few different ways, which I've talked about in previous videos. So please watch them on sets and reps. Please watch these videos. It'll give you a tremendous insight. You need to either increase the sets, increase the frequency, maybe change the exercises, increase the stretch or something of some sort, change rep ranges, get extreme burns or extreme failure with different types of rep ranges. And therefore you get more of a hypertrophy thing going on. Now you have more muscle to access when you start lifting heavier weight. These are all ways that you can address this. Training with arthritis. Yeah, that's a rough one. I know. All I could say is get some acupuncture. Try to supplement maybe with glucosamine and things like that, and essential fats like salmon oil. That's supposed to help. Maybe devil's claw. Devil's claw is an herb that helps with inflammation. And also look honestly at your training and say, is there something right now that's irritating your joints that you maybe need to take a break from? So sometimes my knees get tight. Sometimes this happens too. And Sometimes I'm honestly looking at like, oh, should I just take time off squatting or whatever? You know, something like that. Sometimes that happens, you know. Would it help to do partials on bench to increase strength? Yes, it would. Yeah. Just do it safely. Have the pins set up so that way you are doing it safely, so you're not going to collapse on you or whatever, right? Yeah, Jim Worth, I don't really care what Michael Hearn does, just so you know. I don't give a shit. Like I said, it all depends on the person, but if you look at him, it doesn't seem like he's indestructible. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not really a good example for you to look at. Like, definitely not a good example for you to look at if you want to know how to get around your own limitations, because he doesn't seem to have any. So yeah, I made that mistake a long time ago where I'd look at some guy with bulletproof joints and say, oh, yeah, what he's doing is what I should be doing. It's like, it was the opposite. Definitely don't learn from people that are bulletproof. If they're bulletproof, it's not always because their technique is right. And there's this one guy that used to train the gym. I mean, he'd rep out 500 pounds and eventually nothing. And squat 10 plates aside for partials, for reps, like, and this guy never had an injury. Never, nothing, ever, nothing. When I tried to do some of the stuff he did, it's like I'd snap the shit out of myself. So yeah, you got to be careful with comparing of, oh, this person does this, so that means it's good. It's like, no, some guys can just sit in the middle of a nuclear bomb and not be affected. And you do it, you're going to be devastated. So yeah, just be careful with that. Is collagen supplementation just hype? I don't think so. I should try some, to tell you the truth, to really be able to tell you. I should try some. I do have some bone broths from time to time, and because the taste, like, bone broth has, I believe, some collagen in it, and it's supposed to be good for joints, but I should be taking more of my protein shakes, to tell you the truth. I've just been avoiding it. I've been bad, like, because it doesn't taste great. Like, it kind of adds a bitterness to the protein shake. But yeah, I should really have more. Kung Fu Kickboxer, lots of juice heads talking about mind muscle connection at the moment. Are they tuning into your channel, I wonder? I'll tell you what's happening, Kung Fu, okay? And this is something that's going on another level, all right? So I'm going to talk all spiritual and shit for you guys for a second. Don't worry, it's not religious, not hokey pokey, whatever. Everybody knows the planets affect the world in some way, okay? Gravitational pulls, we all know that exists. It's pure science. We all know the moon affects the tides of the entire planet. The moon, right? Just from gravitational forces. Now, we are made up of a bunch of water inside as well. So it does make sense that the water inside us is also going to be influenced by the gravitational pull of the moon. Now, if we take this leap of logic and go further, there are also other planetary influences and other energies that are influenced at this moment. And I will say right now, a lot of people are going through some physical shifts. A lot of things are happening with the physical bodies, and they are noticing that they are not able to maintain super high weights, 1 rep maxes, like shit that just does not work for the body. They're not able to maintain that anymore. So now they're coming up with new philosophies to deal with the limitations that they're experiencing. And I think that's probably why a lot of these channels are saying, oh yeah, let's try some light weights and stuff, because they're probably injured and they're not telling you about it or something's going on, right? So that's the shitty thing about life, right? Sometimes it teaches you some pretty harsh lessons, and it doesn't teach you in a sort of like nice, sort of like blinky-eyed snowflake sort of way. It teaches you in a very harsh way and says, okay, I'm going to fuck you up right now, and then yeah, find out what happened. You know, it's like somebody just throws a grenade in your lap and then you blow to pieces and they're like, okay, now how did that grenade happen to you, right? So there is some aggressive astrological energies going on right now. And yeah, some people are responding to it. I think that's what you're seeing. Gelatin is awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, Samuel. Definitely, gelatin's great. How many could attain your physique naturally? Maybe my physique now, maybe they could attain it. But when I was at my heyday, I hate talking about this shit because it always makes you try to brag about yourself. But I was at a pretty high level. So it's stupid for everybody to think that they could get to the same level. Now, they could be the same level in their own way and look unbelievable in other ways. But when it comes down to the archetypal of what it looks like to be a bodybuilder on stage, a bodybuilding show with certain symmetry, certain shape, all this kind of stuff, a lot of that is genetic and it has nothing to do with a person's mental or ability through their willpower or knowledge or all this kind of stuff. So how many? I'd say there'd be definitely a lower percentage than you would normally think. I mean, if you were born at 95 pounds, I mean, like not born, but like say grown man, 95 pounds, he's obviously got a different tendency towards weight training. Maybe he has a different affinity, right? It's just like me trying to become a strongman. It'd be a disaster. I'd be injured all the time, whatever, because it's just my joints and everything, the way I'm built, not ready for it. I'm not tall enough, first of all, to get the boulders on top of some platforms are supposed to put it on. Second of all, deadlifting from the floor with a rounded back, which is usually the prerequisite to be a strongman, I can't do that without injuring myself. And yeah, it would just be stupid. So obviously I would be one of the lower 20 percentile or 30 percentile when it comes down to strongman sports. So it's the same thing with bodybuilding. There's going to be some people with a genetic predisposition for it, and some people that just no matter what they do, they'll never be a bodybuilder per se, as far as have that look, right? Yeah, Joe Smith, doing 275 for 4 reps is kind of stupid with close grip, so I would not recommend you doing that, but okay. You obviously don't listen to what I say on this channel, but okay. No problem, Joe. I still like you anyway, but you don't listen to me. Can you tell us about your supplements? I take a multivitamin right now. I don't really take supplements. I take some magnesium, I guess. Liquid magnesium. That's about it. I'm not really taking supplements with any regularity to be able to tell you I take supplements. I do take some protein powder. That would be, I guess. But I don't look at that as a supplement. It's really more food. Joe Smith, there you go. No, it's good. That's good, Joe. But you have a close grip because there's so much pressure on the elbows. I wouldn't recommend doing like 5 reps, 6 reps on the bench. Like I would recommend definitely not doing that. But whatever, if you're not getting, I'm not sending curses your way or anything. I'm saying, whatever, like some guys have a different way they're built and they can handle different stresses like I talked to you about. But doing sets lower than 5, because you're saying you could do 4, which says you did 4 reps to failure, which is what I never recommend, doing sets less than 5 to failure. So yeah, that's dangerous in itself with any exercise, right? You know what, Kung Fu Kickboxer, I'd like to believe that I sub 100 kilogram category in the strongman, you do well if inclined to do so. No, I wouldn't, because I can't deadlift from the floor without getting lower back issues and stuff. It just is not the way I'm built. So I would do horrible in strongman, honestly, especially with, my subluxation in the shoulder and bicep tear. Like, no, I do horrible now. Yeah. How long do your workouts typically last? As short as possible, but usually about an hour. Yeah. Can creatine supplementation cause violent outbursts? No, not at all. My wrists are hard to deal with. How old are you? I'm 46. Yeah, creatine is found in your chicken and your fish and your red meat. So if you've been having any of these things, guess what? Creatine's totally natural. It's not this. People have this mix up. I had this idiot on Instagram tell me that whey protein's not natural and all this shit. I'm like, come on. Like, have you ever heard of Little Miss Muffet eating her curds and whey? I mean, God bless this guy for trying to be super, whatever. He's trying to be like unbelievably natural. Okay, I get it. Maybe he's not an idiot. Nice guy probably, but the fact that people have mixed up like drugs and hormones with like food that comes in a container and they're saying, oh, that's not natural. Well, then don't ever eat potato chips ever in your life or anything else, because there's some preservatives in there too. Just because something has a preservative or something doesn't mean that it's giving you some sort of advantage in the bodybuilding gym in some sort of unnatural way, right? That's different. Hey, any tips for becoming a bodybuilder? I'm 19, by the way, and I've been training for 3 years. Well, Nicholas, that's a kind of a general, very ambiguous question, and it says to me that you have not seen the videos on this channel. So I'm going to point you towards Natural Gallant Bodybuilding on YouTube. It's right here. You just click down below. I've got 600 videos of tips. So yeah, rather than me just repeating them all for 5,000 years on here on a live chat, you should probably look at some of the videos. And maybe you'll have some sub-questions of those things, but yeah, watch the videos. Yeah, Nicholas. Yeah, it's too hard for me to answer a question that ambiguous. It's like, where do I start? You know what I mean? Like, try lifting some weights, Nicholas. There you go. That's my tip. Sax and violins. I know, RoboWare. I understand. You know, I know you guys are probably just as frustrated with the autocorrect as I am, because sometimes they'll try to say something and you're trying to use a word that you usually don't use, but it is the right word for the situation, and then it turns it into something so stupid. Like, and sometimes it gives the opposite meaning to what you're trying to say, and it's just so freaking annoying. So I try to give you guys a little bit of compassion here, and not mention, like, what's a sax, a violin, like, do you mean violins? Creatine causes violins? Like, I'm trying to draw attention to that because it's frustrating. That's one thing I can't stand about the autocorrect. Okay, guys. Yeah, just so you know, I wish I could put rules up on this chat, but I'm not going to comment on other YouTubers because I do have some freaking opinions, and I do have some opinions, but at the same time, it just causes more negativity and shit. So I'm not going to go there. I mean, I got enough conflict in my life with running a channel that I need. So all I can say is people can choose different lifestyle choices and still be nice people. So the big issue I have with some of the guys that are promoting a different lifestyle than natural is that they are, like, we have this idiot in Maple Ridge, okay, where I used to live, and he's driving fancy cars and he's drug dealing and all this shit. And basically there's a lot of impressionable young males that are surrounding this guy. And because this guy's cheating the system, but then showing them that it's led to wealth and success somehow, they haven't seen the negative side of what can happen from that lifestyle. So they're only getting the good part. They're not seeing the bad part that is eventual. And so they're getting tied into this lifestyle. So I do have trouble with the people who are glorifying this stuff. Like, I saw a guy on Instagram yesterday lifting weight, bent over rowing. The way he was bent over rowing was totally wrong. But he's like, yeah, you got to do bent over rows in order to build it back, right? And then he's putting in his profile that he's been training for 15 years, like he's a veteran or something. And then he's all like drugged up to the nines and whatever. And I'm thinking, you know, the problem is with this person, you have 70 or 80,000 subscribers and people tuning into him because he's got this glorification, kind of like Evel Knievel jumping off a building and destroying himself, you know. But he's not teaching stuff that's helping people. He's teaching stuff that's helping their own self-destruction. He's glorifying this lifestyle that's causing people harm. It's kind of like being a drug addict, like shooting heroin or something like that, and then showing all the cash and everything from dealing drugs. And then from there, people don't see the 10 years later disaster that the life has become. And they're falling for the lie, you know? So that's the shit that I have trouble with. I can't freaking stand most of the bodybuilding culture, to tell you the truth, because it's glorifying a dream, but it's only showing one side of the story. It's not necessarily showing the horrible side effect of it. So you're getting people that are getting lost in this dream, right? Now, I'm not saying some of the people that have bought into a lifestyle that's pretty destructive, I'm not saying that some of them aren't beautiful, nice people, because I've talked about some of them on here, like they're nice people, like they seem really good people, and they've made a decision because that seems to be the only decision for them to make a career out of something. But there is this glorification of something that is a risk, you know, and I just don't think that's helping anybody. It's really just glorifying drug addiction in disguise. That's all it is. Yeah. You look like my therapist. That's funny. Okay, I'm sure I look like a lot of things. I've been called worse than a therapist, so thank you. What do you think about going from unstable to stable movements? I think that's a great thing you can do, yeah. I think it could be used both ways. But I will say this. If you go from an unstable movement to a stable movement, I believe there will be less chance of injury because your primary muscle groups also play a role in stability. So say I'm doing squats on a Smith machine. I'm using some of my lower back on there. I'm using some of my hips and all this kind of stuff. And then I go to free weight squats. There's definitely a possibility that even because my quads and hamstrings are deeper into failure, that all of a sudden they just collapse on me, or I have a shock failure, like an unexpected failure happen, and then there could be an injury from that. So I would say there's a good chance that if you do the unstable movements or unstable movements first and then go to stable movements, there's a better chance of less injury. So with bench press and stuff, you might not have to worry as much, but what I mean is if you're dealing with a lot of lower back, a lot of instability, like extreme instability, then you may want to start with that one first and then go to the other stuff. Joe Smith, bike dealer. It's funny. Winter Nera. Hello, Mr. Mountain. Just chiming in. How you doing, brother? Yeah, Robo Warrior, it's funny. I understand what you're saying with one-arm benches and stuff, but I find one-arm dumbbell benches are just annoying. I don't like them, actually. I find I spend more time just trying to stay on the bench, and then I have to move over so this shoulder's just on a bench. I don't really like it that much. Honestly, don't like them. Do you think HIIT was mainly a marketing thing to make money? Yes, of course it was. 100% when somebody says, hey, I'm going to totally take down the system, and what I'm saying is anarchy compared to what's being done by the mainstream people, it's not always a marketing thing, not always, but there's definitely a component in there that could be at work, okay? So the stuff that I'm saying isn't necessarily against mainstream. Like a lot of guys that have been in the gym for any period of time are saying exactly what I'm saying. They're saying, you know, don't go too extreme range of motion or do this or maybe change up your rep range. Just like a lot of the stuff I'm saying is just absolute truth to anybody that's been in the gym for 20 or 30 years. They already know it. I mean, and there could be variables of that truth, but it's there. I'm not reinventing the wheel. If anything, I'm returning people back to what was originally taught before this insanity of social media came to be. But what was going on with sometimes these guys in the magazines and stuff like that is that they were trying to basically market something and try to also sell a dream. Who doesn't want to work out once a week and get more results than a guy who's stuck in the gym 6 days a week? Like, who doesn't want that? Like, tell me, like, why do you think 5-minute abs sells better than, hey, 7 days a week, 10 hours a week in the gym abs? Like, which seminar do you think would sell more? 5-minute abs is going to sell more, right? So that's really the thing. Nobody wants to hear the story of you got to work hard and you have to suffer a bit in order to get a result. Nobody wants to hear that story. That's just not, like, comfort is what the ego seeks. It doesn't seek discomfort, right? And for those who understand the truth, they realize that everything is a deal with the devil. If you're getting an easy trade, then there's something you got to trade back in return. There's no easy path. Once you know that, then you could start dealing with life accordingly and actually start accomplishing certain things. And sometimes you might think, well, shit, the amount of work I got to do to accomplish that might be not worth it, you know, and screw it. I'll do something else that I enjoy more, and that's fine. But there is no easy way. That's the thing. And I'm not saying HIIT training is easy, okay? And again, that's another thing I want to say. HIIT training, like when these guys are thrown up on the floor and they're just doing pre-exhaust after pre-exhaust and doing one set that makes you want to die, not easy. I get it. So freaking hard. But I just don't think that as many people adapt to it and get results as they say that are veteran trainers. That's all. Can it be a valid technique for periods of time? Yes. I will say that, yes, that is a possibility in my mind where I say, yes, maybe somebody who's always burdened the nervous system, they're always in the gym, they're always doing the routine, you know, and then they say, screw it, I'm just going to work my ass off once a week, but then give my overall system lots of rest for a week or two, or, you know, a week before my next workout. There can be something to that. I do believe that. And I'm not saying that I will never try that. I mean, I think it depends on where your weak link is in your constitution. So in that way, I will give Mike Mentzer props because he thought outside the box in that way. So I'm not saying he had false motives, but I am saying that there's a combination of a few things that could have been going on. Yeah. Yeah, Robo Warrior, if you're noticing that one-arm presses are awesome for you, then keep doing them by any means. I'm not saying that what my experience is should be yours for sure, and I know you know that. So, yeah, I just find it with me, it's just so not awkward. Like I can stabilize it, no problem, but I spend more time just trying to stay on the bench than I do actually even work in the chest. Yeah, and then what happens? I start to turn like this a little bit, and then it starts to become more shoulder than chest, right? So to balance. Yeah. You were giving your other channel vibes today. I mean, not the bodybuilder, just I don't know if you can see it. What do you mean there, Winter Nero? What do you mean? Well, JKRS, he's saying 5-minute abs is great and all, but just wait till somebody comes out with 4-minute abs. That's so funny. There was like some show that came out like 20-second abs or 5-second abs, and it's like, it's just like, it's totally crazy. I can't remember what show it was, so it was pretty funny. Andrew Mitchell, how you doing, brother? Mountain, buddy, mountain. What about cables instead of dumbbells? No, cables for sure, RoboWare. For sure, cables might be better. But at the same time, there's still that stabilizing, right? If I'm laying on the bench, then I get stabilized. Now, if I'm standing up, then maybe the stabilizing won't be as much of an issue, so there could be something to that too. So that's definitely something for me to do. Maybe I'll do that in a video pretty soon. I'll try it out just for fun, because I've definitely not done one arm cable stuff doing this. I've just never saw the point of it, but there could be a point because I could stand closer or a different angle to the rack. And so maybe there'd be something to that. So good suggestion. Okay, I read an article recently about glute activation with squats. Basically said to pause before the butt wink for maximal glute activation. Do you feel this to be true? No, absolutely not true, and absolutely true. Now, what I'm going to say is it will depend on how much of a forward lean you have in the squat. With me, when I stop at the bottom, I don't necessarily get more ass. I get a lot of hamstring because I bend over like this. I bend over quite extreme because of the way I'm built, right? But if you're more a vertical squatter, and you can go down a little lower, you're going to be definitely ass, well, just say you're going to be ass heavy when it comes down to squatting. So definitely if you pause at the bottom and come up, you're going to activate more ass. But my question to you is, what are you feeling just before the butt wink? That's going to give you your answer. Where are you feeling the stress? And if you're feeling the stress mostly in the hamstrings and not the butt, then that's your answer. If you're feeling the stress in your butt, then that's your answer, right? So again, there's no generalized exact answer for everybody because people move differently, and squats are one of the most extreme variable exercises out of all of them. Each person moves so differently, which was what really became extremely apparent to me once I started getting on YouTube and stuff. I knew it before when I was training clients, and I was always conservative of people's ranges of motion when I trained them, just because I didn't want them to get injured, because an injured client means they're not getting paid. And second of all, first and foremost, how well can you do as a trainer if you're injuring your clients? I mean, that cannot be the right thing to do. So a lot of times I found with extreme range of motion, there was more of a tendency for butt wink to happen and more back issues and knee issues and all this stuff. So I found that I would just follow them and guide their body based on what felt natural for them in whatever level of flexibility they had at the time. And then I would try to get them more flexible, but at the same time, I wouldn't push flexibility in the joint and tweaking the labrums and screwing them up or anything, right? So I would try to find the real flexibility, not the false flexibility by them yanking the joints out of sockets, right? Yeah, Leslie Jackson, if you're worried about fractured vertebrae and squats, I totally feel you there. It's definitely something to worry about with squats. Squats are probably one of the most dangerous exercises along with deadlifts. And I would say if you want to work legs, try to do a lot of one-legged movements. Lunges, one-legged squats on the Smith machine. You can do leg press, but don't come down too far and don't let your bum come off the pad. These are great exercises for legs. People are talking about squats and glorifying them and everything. And hey, you know what? I love squats, but there is nobody that can say that squats are not hard on the lower back. Squats work the lower back like crazy. And this can be a positive until it's not a positive, and then it becomes a super negative. So the last thing you want to be is crippled from your training. You want to walk into the gym and be enjoying the process and working the muscles and not killing yourself. So if you're going to do squats, do them light and then really pound those legs on the other exercises when it comes down to being more aggressive, maybe with how deep in a failure you go or how much weight you use, right? And maybe for squats, you use it just for rehabilitation reasons, just to make sure that your body is in the right form and you're using super lightweight. That is something I would recommend for you. So you're not giving up the squat. I'm not saying you have to do them or not, but if you want to, there can be some valid reasons to do the squat, but you don't have to push the hypertrophy and the strength as much during the squat exercise because you realize it's one of those dangerous movements and you use it more for rehabilitation than strength and size. What do you think about trap bar deadlifts for building thighs? Yeah, I think they could do it. I mean, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you get a good burn in the thighs and everything. Me, I don't do them because short arms like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I find that I have to round my back. I get the butt wink at the bottom, whatever, even with trap bar, so it doesn't work for me. But yeah, if you're not getting that, then yeah, I think they could be valid for sure. Yeah, RoboWare, I found that okay, RoboWare is saying I found I get awesome results by loading the bar with my body weight and squatting that. Over time, I've been able to build back to a double body weight squat, but going light has helped a ton. You know, I think that's really the thing. Sometimes by going light, you're going to get more results than going heavy. And that is, it seems counterintuitive, but I hate to say it, but sometimes that's the truth. And I'm not saying that's the truth all the time, but there are times where your body is almost like enough. It's trying to heal a certain area, or there's something going on. Maybe there's a tweak or something. And just by killing it, it's not going to help you. And sometimes the best thing you do is just pump blood into the area and get the form down and get everything, you know, moving smoothly, right? So yeah, there's definitely something valid about that. Been doing back extensions. Are they beneficial? I would be doing stuff on a Swiss ball there, Leslie. If I'm going to be doing back extensions, I'd be doing what do they call it? What do they call it? Jeez, it's the reverse hypers. I'd be doing reverse hypers on a Swiss ball if I were you, or reverse hypers if you find a reverse hyper machine. Short arms and short upper body, just leg press is my experience. Yeah, I find leg press, though, doesn't give me the same results because I don't get the hip extension. See, a big thing is the hip extension gives massive leg results. Gives massive leg results around the hamstring, the reverse chain, or the posterior chain, and then also you get some quads in there as well. So that's why I'd say leg press are not necessarily the best for me. But yeah, I'm a weird guy, I guess. I just got my own quirks, right? But yeah, finding out what your quirks are and how to work around them is really the key. Pump it up. So the secret to calf training, really good video. Yeah, no, honestly, people really underestimate plyos for certain muscle groups too, right? So that's definitely a video worth doing. Is different muscle groups respond to different things. Like some people say, what about pre-exhausting with plyos? Now, if you pre-exhaust chest with plyometrics and then go to bench, don't be surprised if you get wrist problems, elbow issues, front delt problems, because this part of the body isn't made for plyos. Like, you're not made to jump on your hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have the same type of tendons. We don't have the same type of lever points. It's not made for that. Where the calves, they're made for jumping. That's what they do, you know? Like, we're kind of like mini kangaroos, right? So changing the type of exercise per body part is a very valid technique in gaining muscle. J-cars, train the joints, not the muscles. I don't know why you keep saying that, buddy. Are you really just snickering to yourself? You think it's a funny joke or something? Or just like, I mean, if you're gonna laugh, tell a good joke. Come on, man. I'm gonna set this up to some bent over rows here. Hey, if you're gonna laugh, tell a good joke. You want to hear some good jokes? I'm also here to be entertained, not just to entertain all the time, huh? Welcome to the Natural Bodybuilding live stream. So, now if you're wondering what happened to my music channel, I still have to master the last track, and I have not done that yet, so I am sorry for that. But the next album is coming out very soon, I swear. It's just that the last track, I'm like cringing going back there because I'm trying to basically get another bridge of music in there and get that song right where I really like it. And I have not gotten it to exactly where I want it yet, but I will, and it will be at some point, and that album will be on my website. So if you guys like my music, you can get it on my website, naturalbodybuilding.com. So check that out if you want. See, you're seeing like slow motion, Jason, here. Usually you see the clips in between. Usually you see the clips in between sets, and you don't get to see the rest in between or the pauses. Jason talking to himself, you don't usually get to see that either. Well, yeah, now you're getting a full meal deal there, buddy. Get a full meal deal now. Oh boy. Feels good, huh? 2020, 1991. Feels good. Feels good. All right, so I'll do some sets in between here. Or a little chat. Oh. Let me see here. Okay. If you were to form a band, what would you call it? I don't know. At this point, just because of this channel, I'd probably name it like the Gallantians or something like that. It'd probably be something like that, or Mountain. Something. It would be something like that. I think this is actually my music endeavor right here. You know. Yeah. Yeah, Leslie Jackson, he's saying, looking at some of the enhanced guys, and they look like plastic, fantastic. Each their own, but it must be hard doing some simple everyday tasks. I remember I went to a natural bodybuilding show, and I was guest posing at that show. And I sat in the audience, and a couple rows ahead of me, there was this guy who was probably around 270 or something like that, and just geared up to the nines. I mean, he was just like massive, but his breathing was so loud. It's like mine is right now, but I just did a set or a few sets. He was breathing like this just to walk around. Like he could barely even function. And when I saw Greg Kovacs on stage, because he was guest posing at a show here in British Columbia, he had to have a fan with him everywhere he went. And he couldn't even walk, barely. I mean, his wife had to do everything for him and everything. It was really sad to see. I mean, he was a monster, but he died so early. I mean, his heart was so labored just to hold on to that body weight and whatever he was doing to do it, you know? So yeah, it was rough. I mean, a lot of those guys are kind of disabled. They can't really move or do anything. Not all of them, but a lot of the guys are. I think Flex Wheeler talks about it in his book too, where he could not really function doing simple stuff either. Just stuff like tying his shoes and everything was a real challenge, right? I'm not quoting him on that, but I'm just saying like that's an example of something that would be inconvenient for a person who is morbidly huge, you know? Yeah. Yeah, Russ, I said the band name Mountain's already been taken, but I would just basically crush them and then take the name as my own. But it's a good thing I don't play the guitar, right? Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on if a high rep band training for tendons is worth it? You know, I don't know if it's really a tendon thing or not. Like I can't wrap my mind around the logic of that it strengthens tendons. I don't, you know, I don't know how they come up with that logic. I don't know. Maybe because the tension is different. They're talking about changing the Golgi tendon reflex or something because the tension is like hard and then easy then hard. You know, maybe there's some sort of resetting of that Golgi tendon reflex, but I wouldn't say it strengthens the tendons more. But that said, I do believe that there can be some uses for tendon training, elastic band training that can help with rotator cuff muscles and stuff that would be safer than, say, perhaps using a dumbbell. And sometimes, let's face it, it might be convenient. You could just put a tendon or like a elastic on a doorknob or something and do some work really easy somewhere without having the dumbbells thumping on the floor and whatever. And there could be some specific angles that you can get with the bands that you couldn't with the dumbbell. So that's definitely logical to do. How's it going there, Bad Screen Name? Yeah, happy 2020 to you too. Oops, 1 second here. Okay, Mullins Mania 79. For someone who can't feel their hamstrings in Romanian deadlift, would you suggest pre-activating them on a curl machine? No, I would suggest doing a hip thrust with your back on a bench. Just do hip thrusts to activate the posterior chain, so that way your lower back is in an arched position. Get your lower back in an arched position. That will get your hamstrings activated. Too many people, they'll bend over to do a deadlift, but they'll round their lower back. And then, of course, the hamstrings aren't going to be effective because watch, right? If I bend over like this, right, this is exaggerated, but if I bend over like this, my hamstrings are still tightened, still shortened. And now the lower back is actually getting hit in a negative way, by the way. But if I do this, turn the hips over, now because the hamstrings attach up here, right, then there's a stretch automatically. And the tension, they're already preloaded, you see? So you preload the hamstrings. So there's a strong possibility that you're not actually activating your lower back properly. Yeah, Richard Parker, have I ever used a reverse hyper machine? My brother has one in his garage, but I have not had a chance to really use that much because he lives far away from me. And I've used one that was at the gym for a period of time, just here and there. But I do find that just reverse hyper is just simple on a Swift ball. It works great. A Swift ball. I said it like Tyson there for a second, sorry. A Swift ball. Yeah, thanks, Anthropic. Thanks for tuning into my videos and stuff. And notice some people have been trying to join the Facebook group too, but they're not answering the questions. They can't answer the questions. So because I get so many spammers and people that go into Facebook groups that just try to sell their own products or services, they just go in the comments or the messages, like all the people that are members of the group, they'll go message individual members and try to sell them workout programs and all this kind of crap so they're basically spamming. So this is why I have to be really strict with the Natural Gallant Bodybuilding group, guys, so just so you know. So yeah, if you haven't been let in there, there's a reason, because I probably looked at your profile and see that you might be marketing products or services that are in the fitness community. So there's a possibility of spamming, or you don't really have any sort of real pictures of yourself. It's just kind of pictures of the same person over and over again or something. And, so there's a lot of spam accounts on Facebook. So yeah. Bad screen name. He's at Planet Fitness. Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that you're at that atrocity of a gym, and you are using the Smith machine. So what do I recommend? You use squat or one-legged squat or combination of both? Well, obviously a combination of both. I would not recommend just doing squats in there. Yeah, so if you only have a Smith machine, you don't have a squat rack, then yeah, do a combination of both, and you can get some good development. Is direct forearm or calf training important if you deadlift or squat enough? It depends what happens. See, everything's about what happens. I find so many people ask questions about, is it important? Well, no, it's not important if you don't find it's important. If it doesn't, it's kind of like saying, is vitamin C important if you live? Well, vitamin C, I mean, in a supplement form might be important, especially if you're not getting it from some sort of natural source. But if somebody's like living around an orchard of oranges and they're eating oranges all the time or whatever, and they get lots of vitamin C, then maybe it won't be so important. So it's the same thing with exercise. It's like, if you're deadlifting and you're finding your grip is giving out first, well, then obviously your grip is the weak link. But if your grip is never giving out first, then yeah, not important to train forearms. Now, if you're talking about muscular size, again, I answer the question the same way. Is your muscular size happening? Are you gaining forearms from gripping? Are you gaining forearms? No? Then I guess you need to train forearms. Simple, right? Pretty logical stuff. So yeah, the question is, what's happening with you? Adam Abdul Rahman, do I do live chat every day? No, I do live chats every Friday at 4 p.m. And it's on donation there, Abdul. So if you haven't donated to this channel or contributed in any way, shape, or form, I'd appreciate it if you did. So I do donations on my website and super chats on here. You can donate, or you can buy a workout program or some music or a t-shirt or something like that. So that helps me be able to continue to do this. So if you're getting a benefit, don't be afraid to donate or to support it. I know we're in the free information world right now, but the truth is nothing's totally free, because if I can't afford to do this anymore, then yeah, the live chats are going to go. So it all depends on support. Like I'm on a weekly basis. So if I find that, you know, the same guys are having support, like Kung Fu Kickboxer, you supported last week and stuff. Like I'm not saying these guys have to support every week or something, but thanks to that, Kung Fu. But if I find that there's not enough, like if I'm, like for instance, like if I could spend my time doing something else that will actually be supported, then I'm just going to go where the gratitude is, right? So if I'm finding that this isn't being supported enough, then I'll just quit doing this and just put up the odd video, and then I'll put my resources and time into something else. So that's kind of how it works now with social media and things, because Google does not pay much, YouTube does not pay much, so it doesn't really support the time and effort here. And normally, if I was doing consultations with people, one-on-one and answering questions like this, would be about $150 for 30 minutes. So yeah, do the math. You're saving a lot of money here. So we'll do another warm-up set. Yeah, crack it back into place sometimes. Get this moving if we're sitting. Yeah, thanks. $2.20 loose change at your coach. Yeah, thanks, Kung Fu. Oh shit, that's funny. Yeah, Mullins Mania, the shirts are badass. Actually, the shirt like that Sam Weller just made, I can't say enough things about it. It's such a good job. He did such a good job. I haven't got one yet. I got to get one, and then you'll see it live. But man, it looks great. Russ Sizer, have you ever suffered with sciatic problems, piriformis syndrome? Yeah, for sure. Like I had a herniated disc. If you watch a video on injuries I've had a herniated disc before, or disc bulge. And I've, you know, my lower back gets tight sometimes too and stuff, and I have to play with it, right? So there I'm doing some lighter weight, but you know, my back has been tight sometimes. And then I work the trigger points out, and sometimes it feels better. But yeah, I find the body is like feathers, you know, or fur. You have to constantly groom it. And there's always going to be something that's kind of an issue at the time. So you have to work with that. So I find massage really helps well. And yeah, that's the best advice I can give you is proper form, but also getting regular massage. Yeah. Yeah, Winter Near, I'm doing these every single Friday. I've been doing them every Friday for the last 4 weeks or so. So, Bravo Cheesecake. Oh, I thought you were enjoying our company, but only if we throw some money around. Yeah, exactly. You know, I do enjoy everybody's company, but like I said, people don't understand that everything I do has to also be sustainable, right? So people don't really see the back end. And I mean, I don't talk about this, but obviously I need to educate people on this. Like, if you give away what your skill set is for free, if you give that away, then when it comes down to paying your bills, how do you pay your bills? Because you've already given away your skill set for free. You know what I'm saying? So there has to be a balance in that. It's not about not enjoying the people there, but you still need to survive. So there's that monster in the room that still has to be supported, right? Your rent and whatever. So ideally, if you're going to give away something for free, there has to be an exchange, so that way you can afford to give it away for free and afford to be helping people in that way too. So that's why I have a Patreon page, and the patrons that helps me pay just the internet bill. You know, it's not like lots of money on there, but it helps me a little bit, and then I can continue to make videos and put up free information. But ultimately, if you give away everything for free, like, I mean, if I say, hey guys, I'm going to come live at your house, but I'm not going to contribute, I'm just going to eat all your food and everything, you'd probably be like, well, hey, get the hell out, right? I mean, so everything's about exchange, right? So I find a lot of times people just want to parasite off you, and they don't want to give back. Just like I had a guy recently that I gave my music to him for his channel and said, all you have to do is just put the link in the description to my YouTube channel, and it'll be like a kind of a collaboration, and a link in the back end, and just say, you know, thanks to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding for the music. And then video goes on, and he did it for a couple of videos, and then he was using my music in another video, and then at the end of the video, he put in, thanks to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, link is in the description. I checked his description. The link wasn't in the description. And then the next video, he used my music, and there was no thanks to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding and no link in the description. And then, of course, he would put the shout out at the very end of the video, the last 10 seconds of the video that nobody watched after he did all this other advertising or anything. Like, he didn't do one iota more to pay me back for the music or anything. He just did the bare bones minimum, and even that he couldn't live up to. And so I sent him a bunch of messages. I said, listen, like, this was our agreement. You know, everything's about exchange. You're not living up to the agreement. He never got back to me because he couldn't be bothered. So I ended up having to take some action, and then, you know, he's all mad at me. Well, what do you do, right? I mean, it's like, it's almost like I have to educate people on honor and understanding that if you take from somebody, then it's only right to have an exchange, right? I mean, the great gurus that sat on mountaintops, people are like, oh yeah, everybody in a monastery, they work for free, and all these great sages and all this. Saying, no, they don't. They're already supported with their food. They're already supported with their housing. They're already getting supported by the community. The town is actually contributing to the monastery so it can afford to eat and therefore educate people about whatever it is they're teaching, right? And, you know, we can get into other arguments or other discussions about what's right of teaching or not, but I'm just talking about even the Buddhist monasteries and everything. They're supported in some way. So if you're helping people, you need to find a way to be able to continue to, and that's what this is all about as well. So yeah, I don't mind doing live chats, but if I find that it's not being supported, then obviously there's not enough people that want it. So that's it, right? Kung Fu kickboxer, did your brother ever stand in for you in competitions if you're off sometimes? No, never. Never would do that. And he wouldn't, we didn't look the same anyway. We did look quite a bit different. Do you provide nutritional plans? Didn't see it on your site. You know what? I've been meaning to write a nutritional plan up, like a general sort of thing of what to eat for people, but I haven't done that. Most people want calories and macros and all this stuff. I don't do any of that, but I do consultations. So if people want to sit down and talk about what they're eating, and then I can kind of give suggestions based on what they're noticing, then I do that. Yeah. Have you ever noticed an incredible workout after a nap? I nap pretty much every day. So yeah, I guess all my workouts are after naps. Leslie Jackson, try pink Himalayan salt. Yeah, I've had pink Himalayan salt, but normal iodized salt, there's something to that I've read. And again, I'm not an expert in this area, but iodized salt also helps with production of radiation for thyroid and stuff like that, apparently. So sometimes that's something that's not in Himalayan salt that you might want to think about as well. So. Yeah, Richard Parker. Yeah, I mean, I like these conversations more so sometimes than the bodybuilding stuff, just because. Yeah, I think it does more for the world. So you're saying you're doing other people's jobs at work and you want to ask for more pay or you want to get compensated. And you know, I get it. If everybody's not pulling their weight, I mean, everything's about exchange. And if you're getting used, being enslaved, that's different. Now the other thing is, you know, and this is something that, you know, is the hard part about confrontation, is that there's consequence, right? So I know for a fact that I had this issue with this guy that used my music but didn't, and then I had to take appropriate action, and I did. And then now he's gotten back to me now, of course, because only once I took action did then he returned my messages after me messaging him straight for 2 days or day and a half. And there was no return. He just ghosting me on my messages all day long and just like, fuck, who cares, Jason? I don't give a shit if I put your link in the description or not. Like, who cares? Like, who gives a shit about you? You're just, what are you going to do about it? You know, that kind of, so he made me play my hand. So I did. And then of course, he then is like, are you fucking kidding me? What'd you do? Then I'm getting messages from the guy. He's all mad at me because I put a boundary, I put a line in the sand. I said, hey, listen, you didn't do this. So, okay, here's the consequence. And so now I've renegotiated with him, and then now I've taken steps to appropriately undo the action that I took to help him out. But now I know, of course, he's going to hate me forever for it because he somehow thinks that he didn't do anything wrong, even though he did win against our agreement. And so whenever you draw a line in the sand, just be ready for the shit pie in the face, because people don't like to be called on their shit. And there may be consequence. And sometimes if you're having an issue at work and you start saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to do this anymore because this person won't do it, it'll just depend on who's on your side and who sees your point of view. Well, that'll depend on that, of what happens, because you might end up finding yourself a new job because they're like, well, the only reason why we have you around here is because you're the only idiot willing to do 17 jobs when nobody else is doing them. You know what I mean? So there can be consequence for the action. I'm not saying you're not right, but the unfortunate fact is about how many people around you see that you're right. and that's the biggest issue when it comes down to what consequence will happen. And we're not exactly in a world full of people that are logical at this point. There are a lot of people that are just imposing their own suffering on everything, and it's all me, everything's about me. And if they have to do 1% more effort to prevent 100% of suffering in you, they're not even going to go there. They'd rather you suffer or die 1,000 deaths than them have one little iota of pain, even though it's legitimate for them to actually take 1% or 10% more course of action, right? So yeah, there's a certain amount of selfishness that's in people, that, especially when they're in suffering of some sort. And yeah, unfortunately, with some of the kids in this generation, they're and there's older people too. I'm not talking about, it's not like, but I'm just saying, almost in the Google generation, let's call it, there's this disconnection from the real consequence of physical relationship because they're so used to relating on the internet. So I find that they almost have this cave to even be more selfish if they're prone to that. I'm not saying they're all like that, but there are some that they're just so incubated by this, and everything's about views and about how many followers they have on some sort of social media website or something like that. And because of that, they are feeling an inflated self-importance that has no logical reasoning. And they have a tendency to say, well, I'm the king of the world, so you owe me everything, but fuck you, and that's kind of a reality. And that's why I sometimes have to take, steps to put boundaries in place to deal with this type of personality, right? Yeah. JKRZ, napping always messes with my bedtime. It leaves me. Yeah, you know what? You have to go. You have to go with your own constitution, there, JK. And honestly, if I had to go to bed super early and get up super early, then I probably wouldn't be napping like I do either. I'd have to take a real short nap, 20 minutes or something like that. But yeah, you got to go with your sleeping patterns and stuff. Thanks, Jay Patrick. And yeah, nice bike. Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, $2 and an insult. Thank you, buddy. Rest Cosmos, yes, as a college student, I can confirm. Yeah, I mean, again, I've met some pretty, but on the positive, let's be positive too. On a positive note, I felt I've met some extremely well-developed, wise mofos that are in their 20s that are like, wow, where'd this guy come from? Like, this guy's like, he's like a wise man in a younger guy's body walking around, and he's really he's seeing through the level of bullshit that's around him really well. So, I just think the environment itself facilitates a lot of lack of connection. And when people are not connected, there's not as much learning that can happen through cause and effect, right? Like if I'm rowing a boat in a lake, like this would be great. You guys would love this, okay? This is entertainment. If I'm rowing a boat in a lake and somebody's rowing with me, and then they take a drill and they start drilling holes in the boat, we're going to sink to the bottom of the lake, and I'm going to be like, holy shit, what are you doing? Like, you're sinking us, and we're both dead, right? So I'm going to know that I'm dependent on what this guy does in order for my boat or my survival to happen, right? Whereas in the internet, it's like we're a video game world where we can just respawn. Like there's no consequence. So like, whatever, who cares? I just do whatever I want, right? So as long as I don't feel the consequence, who gives a shit what happens to you, right? And that's kind of the problem we have. Yeah. Yeah. Where's that bike? Okay, that's my bike right there, okay? This is the wife's bike. I keep telling you guys that, but nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. All right, let's get set up a little bit. Sitting in between sets of bent over rows like for long periods of time is not really recommended for bent over rows. So I might as well take the knee in, move it over. But the trick is not to crush your genitalia in the process. You don't want to crush your genitalia. For those of you who still have some. All right. Hand balancing. Winner near, have you ever tried hand balancing? I'm thinking about indulging it now and then for shoulder stability. Yeah, I've tried some, but not enough because I don't want to put footmarks on my wall. But yeah, I think it could be great. The Bigfoot diet, that's right there, JK. That's the name of the diet that I'll put out, the Bigfoot diet. I'm actually reading a really interesting book on the Bigfoot. It's pretty crazy, all the mythology. Not just the mythology, but the urban lore through Russia and through different areas that was commonplace, and how many traditions people had around Bigfoot and offerings they were doing in the woods, all this kind of stuff that really points towards there was a real phenomenon, a real relationship of some sort going on. So I got to pick this book up, but I've been reading it at the coffee shop here, and they're just reading chapters in there. But man, some of the stuff I read today was crazy. Joe Smith, I'm always scared that when I put the dumbbells back on the rack, I might crush my nuts at the thought of it. It should petrify you. The thought of that should petrify you, Joe, because I talked about this. My dad smashed himself with lateral raises one time, and he also did it with the leg press because the leg press machine had the rack like this. So he's loading the plates up on the leg press, and instead of the leg press plates going on laterally, there was kind of a slant. So the plates, logically stay on. So it seems to make sense, But anyway, the plate went on and also went like that real quick. And my dad was standing too close to the thing, and he said almost killed him. It was bad. So yeah, that story just sent shivers up my spine when I heard that one. Yeah, invent the Sasquatch shake. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna fit that could actually be like what was it? The Sasquatch shake. What was the other one? The other shake that happened. That could be a video, like a new dance. Sasquatch shake. How we have the Bigfoot. Yeah, the Grassman. I used to love Mountain Monsters. Mountain Monsters is a great show. I haven't seen the latest season. Supposedly some network had it on or whatever. I have to try and find it somewhere. But Mountain Monsters, they used to do the Grassman and what were the other ones like? There's all these different types of Sasquatches or whatever they try to trap and everything. I like that show. Kung Fu Kickboxer, my gift to you. Yeah. I'll have to invent it was the Harlem Shake, wasn't it? The Harlem Shake, is that what it was called? No, the Sasquatch Shake. It would be like a dance. Yeah, I'm not tall enough for it though. People say that bodybuilders need to drink lots of water, but I didn't see you drink any. I'm not drinking any water right now. I'm drinking some mocha. There's some sugar and some milk in here, basically. A little bit of coffee, but yeah, I drink water. I mean, you only see a 10-minute video. I mean, you don't see my all-day program of what I'm doing, but I always have water with me when I'm eating and stuff. Mountain Monsters was awesome. I love that show. I like that show because it had suspense. It had some sort of suspense in it where it was like you didn't know what was going to happen. And you knew a lot of it was staged, but it was interesting because it was filmed in the dark. And man, like literally though, the funniest thing about it, like that always used to be hilarious to me, was that anybody that's 250 pounds overweight is not going to be able to walk around the woods or hunt very well. I mean, especially in the dark. I mean, that's just a snapped ankle or twisted knee waiting to happen any minute. And when I saw, the one guy, I can't remember his name, the big guy, running around and falling down a hill and all this stuff, I'm like, man, this guy's like, he's living on borrowed time because I mean, I can't walk through the woods without snapping something or hurting something because just the ground's so unstable. And all of a sudden you're stepping in a gully or whatever, or tripping over a stick. I mean, so that showed to me 100% there was something staged about the show as far as the environments they're filming and stuff. But it was fun to watch. What's the worst finger injury you've had when re-racking your weights? Actually, Joe, it was like 3 years ago. You'll see it in some of my older videos from 2016 or 15, maybe 2015. One of the dumbbells was underneath my rack, the dumbbell rack. And underneath the dumbbell rack is really sharp. Like it's just sawed off kind of metal, right? And the dumbbell was hidden under there and it was stuck on the rubber mat because the rubber mat wasn't all the way to the floor. So anyway, I yanked on the dumbbell a couple times. Then it came loose and it went da-ding right in the middle of the rack. And it was like my nail instantly came off, purple finger. It was brutal. That was the worst one. Yeah. What do you think about taking some vitamin C to fight muscle stress? I think it's probably valid. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about high vitamin C dosages and stuff. His name is Buck. Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, it was Buck. That's funny. Kung Fu Kickboxer. I heard Sasquatch stories were invented. You know, Kung Fu, I will disagree with you 100% on that one, what you heard there, because I know people who have had encounters themselves, and they were not nuts. I talked about it on this channel. I actually had a playlist, Sasquatch hunting, with the guy Todd that I went in the woods with, and he was not lying. Like, he was not nuts. I mean, if you talk to him, you would know that he had a real encounter, and the thing was only 15 feet away from him. It wasn't like, 100 yards or something. It actually charged at him down a hill. So there have been a number of people who I've actually met that have had some sort of encounter of some sort. So I would say that there's a strong possibility. I mean, unless he's totally messed up, and I really don't. He's not messed up that way. I mean, I have other opinions about him, but I would say he's not messed up. That he actually had a real encounter of some sort. Richard Parker, you got your belt squat machine 3 weeks ago, and you love it. What name brand did you get there, Richard? And how much did it cost you? Oh, there. No, Kung Fu Kickboxing, you didn't get a selfie with it because this was about 8 years ago, and the thing charged at him. Imagine a grizzly bear charging at you. If it charged at you, he said basically the thing came so fast down the hill that him and his wife and their son at the time, there was 3 witnesses, ran for their life, and they couldn't even remember how they got back off the path. They were in such shock and terror. So it was not like one of those things, oh, look at the cuddly thing. It was like they were like scared for their life. So the thing was like a wall. It was so wide. It was like not even normal. And he said, no way it was a bear. Okay, David, you must be new here. I don't give opinions on other people on this channel. Titan Fitness, eh? $600, that's cheap for a belt squat, so I can't imagine that's a high-end one. Let me just look it up. Well, I won't play the video while I'm doing a live stream, but I'll have to take a look at that later. Cool. So you like it though? That's good, you like it. Okay, I'm gonna check that out later and just see what it looks like there, Richard. And see. It works for you. No, that's good. Yeah, whatever works, right? And like I said, there's other ones out there that are like several $1,000s. That's what's kind of prevented me from getting one. But I totally see the validity of it, because a belt squat's great in a couple ways, or could be great in a couple ways. It allows hip extension at the same time as the knees and everything are moving. So it's more of a natural movement without you needing your lower back involved. And that would be perfect for training the legs, because that's the problem with training legs, is that your lower back gets so overworked sometimes, especially when you squat like I do because of the way I'm built. So sometimes squatting becomes a stressful experience, because if your back's not feeling right, you can't really push your legs right. Yeah. Yeah, don't worry, David. I'm not going to kick you off. I just don't talk about other YouTubers on here. Yeah. Yeah, Winter Nera, bears are awesome. This wasn't a bear though, Nera. There's no way it was a bear. He said like it had hair. Like this thing that chased him had long hair, not fur, and it was gray. There's no bears in this territory that are gray, okay? None. And it had long hair, like human hair, hanging from the body. So that's It was a total. He said it was. There's not even a 0.01% chance it was a bear. It did totally look different. It was bipedal, running on 2 feet, long arms, wide shoulders. It was not even close to the same. So, Rohan Thorson, natural bodybuilding. Are you effing joking me? What are you talking about, Rohan? What kind of stupid comment is that? Now this guy might get banned because Rohan's kind of being an idiot. You shouldn't go looking for them. A lot of missing people. No, I don't go looking for them anyway. Only bears in Australia. Koala bears very safe, but can give you a bad scratch. Yeah, well, that's true. Koala bears, they're pretty cute though. Yeah, just like those mogwais and gremlins. Feed them after midnight, then who knows what they'll become. Maybe someone doesn't want people to visit that area of the forest. Yeah, but it's not someone. That was a thing. It was like an 8 foot tall thing. Like it was not a human being. It wasn't someone. Ricky Field, before my muscles felt soft. Now I've upped my salt and now they feel harder. Why is that? Well, because salt is necessary for carving up. I talked about this in the last live stream. So if you don't have salt in your system, you can't uptake water. Water and salt go together. And carbohydrate, carbs and water go together. So if there's not enough salt, you won't be able to raise or take muscle or carbs into the muscle cell, right? Have you always lived in that part of the world? No, I lived in Newfoundland from 1 year old, or from birth to 4 years old. Then I lived in Iran from 4 years old to 5 because my dad worked for a paper mill company that was a US company that went over to Iran. And then we moved back when that mill, the Iran-Iraq war broke out and the Shah and everything happened, the assassination, all this stuff. We got evacuated from Iran, moved back to Newfoundland. Then my dad became a policeman, and then he got transferred to the west coast of Canada, and that's where we had to live. Okay, Bruce Bonson, I'm going to answer your question right after I do this set, Bruce. Thanks for the $5 super chat there, Bruce. At least somebody has to support the channel. I'm going to guilt you. I'm going to do the mother guilt thing. Okay? Somebody cares about Jason. Somebody. Right? Do something like that. Sometimes I'll do this too with the legs, just to balance the hips and the back. Right? So sometimes this fires the glutes and the hamstrings at the same time as gets the lower back kind of moving. Because the big thing you want is you want the hamstrings and the glute and the back to move together, and that will help protect the lower back or get it ready for the bent over rows. And see, my fingers are down. That's why I work my lower back, or my forearms. All right. Is it easier for the body to build muscle, add reps with 8 to 15 reps than 4 to 6? Or I'm assuming you're saying, or hit a plateau with 4 to 6 for a year, but now doing 8 to 15. Okay, you're saying you hit. Yeah, 4 to 6 reps will not build muscle. 4 to 6 reps will not really build muscle. It'll be more strength, nervous system, coordination. You'll build some muscle for sure, but it'll be more in the fast twitch fiber range. And for most people, you need to do the higher reps with that strength in order to build the muscle, because that's how you get the strength endurance fibers to go. So 4 to 6 reps is too low to stick to all the time. I'd recommend, if you're going to be doing 4 to 6 reps, to do it once a week, maybe twice a week tops. Like once a week for each body part or whatever, and then do your next workout or two with higher rep ranges. Are delayed onset muscle soreness related to muscle growth? To a point, but sometimes the soreness can actually show up as tightness and stuff too, and fullness on a pump. It doesn't have to show up as absolute soreness like dying, right? I never. Somebody just asked if I competed with somebody. No, I didn't compete with that person. I don't think. The thing is that there could be 100 people in a show, and I don't know all their names. So just so you know, like, and now I can't even remember half the people I competed with. So you could ask me if I competed with somebody. I really wouldn't be able to tell you. I really don't know. I was pretty self-absorbed, just thinking about winning. I wasn't caring about who I was competing against. Although there were some people I met that were really nice, but there were lots of guys that were really quiet. Like I found that natural bodybuilding circles were really good in a certain way because the people had a tendency to be a little bit easier to get along with backstage, I noticed. Whereas when I was competing in some of the shows, like say I do a natural bodybuilding show, then I'd see this other show around the same time, and I'd say, okay, I'll do this one because this one has better exposure, but it's not truly natural, but I'll do this show just for exposure reasons, see if I can meet a photographer or something, but then I'll do this natural show again to try to get a pro card or whatever it is I was doing in the WMBF. I was trying to win a pro show there. And I kind of tried to do 2 or 3 shows together. And sometimes there wouldn't be 2 to 3 shows in this federation, so I'd kind of jump federations and try different shows, right? But one thing I did find was I did my local shows in the IFBB type affiliate at the time, which was a non-tested show. I did a couple of those because I didn't want to travel anymore. And I said, okay, I'm just going to jump on these shows and see how I do, because all the guys at the gym were saying, oh, you're not a real bodybuilder. You'd never be able to win against drug guys because you're just a natty wimp. And, you know, there's trash talking, right? So I said, okay, I'll show you that I'm a real bodybuilder. I'll win against these guys that are supposedly, you know, so great because they're recreational using or enhancing themselves or whatever. So I went to a couple shows and I ended up winning. I won. But one thing I noticed was that at those shows, it was almost like there was just this weird tension backstage. There wasn't as much interaction between the competitors. It was like, it was weird. There was too much ego and stuff. I found the natural bodybuilding as a general rule, not always, because there's some guys that are in the IFBB that are super nice, humble guys. But as a generality back then, I noticed in the natural shows, there was more of an easygoing camaraderie where you actually could talk to people backstage, and it wasn't like this like enemy kind of thing where you're my enemy because you're competing against me. So, but you know me, I've got an annoying personality anyway. So a lot of times people say, oh man, you're really trash talking that guy. I was like, I wasn't trash talking. I was just trying to interact with him because he's so fucking quiet. I was like, man, entertain me a little bit, or at least let's talk. Because I was one of those guys that was so excited about competing sometimes that I would break down barriers between me and other people, and they would fucking hate it because they didn't really want to talk. But I'm like, well, you know, what's the point of us fucking going through this journey together if nobody talks or enjoys or tells a joke or whatever? So I ended up making some really good friends out of it, but then some people just would hate me. So yeah, that's just the way it works. RS Cosmos, but you can go higher reps and still build CNS and strength, right? You can to a point, yes. And it, again, depends on your own constitution. I would say that it's useful to go super heavy here and there, but you want to do it safely. But if you do it all the time, and all the time can be a different definition for each person, but I'd say all the time could be even, you know, twice or 3 times a week. That's too much for most people. I'd say once every week or 2 is probably more than enough. And in some exercises like deadlifts and squats, I would never recommend going that heavy, to tell you the truth, ever. What's the biggest you've been during a show? After dehydration and everything, 186, 187 pounds. Where those dance moves come from? Just from watching music videos and playing around. How many sets do I do for chest per week? Anywhere from 10 to 30. How many shows did I do? Around 18 shows. Oh, nice to see you, Harry Potter. You got your, thanks for updating there, Harry. Said that I would update you on my broken ankle, for which I had surgery on January 1st. Haven't been doing much, just healing. But I went to the hospital and got the 12 metal staples removed. Yeah, no, happy healing, buddy. Just read a lot of books. If you have a Harry Potter for a name, I'm assuming you're reading. I'm reading a lot of novels right now. Reading some stuff by Robert McCammon, Swan Song. If you haven't read that book, awesome book about the end of the world and everything, about mystical stuff, kind of dark, but really great book. So yeah, start reading some good novels, man. It's great. Okay, behold the GDL. I don't understand what you're anti-Semitic. I have to remove that, man. Sorry, they're GDL, but when you're putting posts like that on here, I have to remove that. That's anti-Semitic type shit. I can't put that on there. And somebody else is obviously 12 years old, so okay. So some people are funny. It's just like, it's almost like Tourette's on YouTube. It's amazing. There's a lot of Tourette's. So much Tourette's on YouTube. Like, hey, you don't look like my daddy. I hate you. You're not my daddy. Why are you showing up on my screen on my computer? I hate you. And they just start saying like random stuff, like F you and stuff. I'm like, I don't get it. It's crazy. Like, that's one thing I have to say. I have underestimated the amount of crazy in the world. I have totally underestimated it. And YouTube has opened my eyes to the amount of craziness that's out there. There's some nuts. I made the mistake of having my phone number on my website for people to do phone consultations and stuff. And I was getting people calling me from all over the world. And I'm not even a big YouTuber. And they'd be like, just like, hey, can you help me? I just want to know this or know that or whatever. I want you to do a consultation with me for whatever, spiritual consultation, whatever, meditation. And they would just start like assuming that I was just like a 1-800 hotline for free advice, right? It's nuts. People are funny. Martin. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Okay, do you believe in the 6 million figure? I have no idea what you're talking about. Harp 77, thanks for being you. Well, thanks, buddy. Well, thanks for the $20 there. And not even a question. Thanks a lot. So nice of you. Thank you. Thoughts on mixing deadlifts after a 3-day body part split? I'm assuming you're asking where should you put that deadlift? I usually would put it on my back day, but I would put it on my back day after legs. So that way I have the longest amount of rest between my deadlift and my leg day again. Because if your hamstrings are tight and then you go to train legs, especially if you're doing squats, there's a very strong tendency for injury in the lower back. So really be careful with that. If you're noticing your hamstrings are not recovered or your lower back's not recovered, if you're training legs, try to stick to movements, not like the squat, but like movements that don't include the lower back quite so much. Okay, GDL. Behold the GDL. I have to ban you, man. There's lots of people that have been controlling the world, and it really transcends religion or race. Bad people are bad people, but I can't categorize anybody in any sort of race or religion. There's people from all sorts of religions that have been assholes. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say any one is really responsible, but so I have to basically erase your comments here because you're kind of your comments are not accurate. Saying that everybody that believes in a certain religion is bad, it's not good. I don't believe in that stuff. NY bad boy about to leave the chat. Yeah. Okay. Any tips for increasing grip strength? Always lag behind a bit more. Well, you can do the grippers. There's these grips. You can do that for grip strength. Also, just rolling a bar in your hands, rolling your bar and rolling it in. I can't believe it. I've actually almost run out of battery. I'm going to have to change the battery pretty quick here. Fat grips on certain exercises, JKRZ, that's also something you could do. Okay, Leslie Jackson, the sun's out here, off to the gym shortly, buys and tries some gels today. Also going to try some partials today. Nice. NY bad goy. Yeah, it is a row. It's a bent over row. For lat work and back work mainly. A lot of times when people try to bend over like this, what they're doing is doing a lot of rear delts. and they're doing maybe some upper trap work and maybe some rhomboid work, but they're not really getting the back fully. They're not getting the most amount of back as they can. So that's why my back development is one of my strongest things. Cool. Yeah. So we're getting we got a crazy here. We got a crazy guy, guys. We got a nut. This guy is just absolutely fucking crazy. That's nuts. Well. MC Joker, no, that's why it's called Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. I don't take steroids. I am drug-free, always have been, hormone-free. I don't take anything like that, no. How many days should I train to build muscle? Check out my 2-day splits there, Diego, on my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. That's a good idea. You can look at those and training splits and you'll get an idea. Looks like you live in a nice place. What do you do for a living? Can you share? Well, I do this for a living, which is why I asked for donations and stuff on the chats. I sell training programs on my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. Sell t-shirts and stuff. I also am a meditation teacher / spiritual counselor, a sister, guide, I guess, in some way. I have another channel that's based on that. I wrote a book called Awakening with Arachima that's based on the work with my wife, that how that whole journey from bodybuilder to meditation teacher happened a long time ago. And yeah, so I do that too. And I create videos and music and all that. Might try some reverse flies on the incline bench. Any advice? Yeah, do them. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, give me a second. So what I do sometimes when I twist, because my back's been tight today, but what I do is I hold on to the muscle, and then I just twist slightly with my lower back rounded under, like a butt link, and that just helps reset the muscles in the back. So sometimes if your back's tight, that's what I do. And then I'll do this as well. So that just sometimes gets everything moving. And sometimes if the hips are tight, I'll do this too, just to help reset the hips. Honestly, the sitting in a bed of row is not a good idea. Sitting is the worst thing for your back, just kind of cramp up a bit. So. Nice. Let's see what else we can do here. We'll do some a little bit more over here. Okay. MC Joker, my bodybuilder, I don't know who your bodybuilder is. Tell me to take drugs or whatever to get the perfect body. What is your advice for me? Well, seeing as I didn't take drugs, that says you don't need to, but are you a pussy? That's really a good question for me to ask you. And do you need to take the easy way in life? Do you want to just do whatever's easy and then have consequences that you deal with that are really hard later? Or do you want to do something that's truly healthy for you? That's a question, right? So a lot of times people want the easy way in life. And no matter what you tell them, they just want something and they want it right now and they don't care what the consequence is. If you're one of those people, then what I'm telling you, you won't like. I say stay natural, stay drug-free. Yeah, Leslie Jackson. Yeah, Mick Joker. Is your trainer a drug dealer? Yeah, that's probably a very good point because that's usually the case too. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of horror stories. Lots of horror stories of people that took the easy way in life. They couldn't deal with their emotions, and they took, drugs to avoid their emotions and stuff. And I'm not saying that I condemn these people. Like, fuck, I mean, people make mistakes all the time, whatever. But it didn't help them. I mean, let's just be honest. It didn't help them. It made their situation in their life worse. Doesn't mean I don't have compassion for them. Doesn't mean I don't say, hey, you know what, whatever. Some people's lives are just so freaking horrible. Maybe if anybody else was in their shoes, maybe they make similar decisions. I don't know. But there is no question that taking the easy way now doesn't keep you from having to do the homework later, right? It's like I knew this one guy who used to get all the girls in the class to do all his homework in high school. He graduated as an idiot because he was a really good-looking guy, but he had everybody in the class always doing his homework. And I mean, he asked him to add 2 + 2, and he had trouble with it. So there's a price, you know what I'm saying? There's just a price for the easy way. Yeah. Richard Parker, you're hilarious. He's natural, just it's healthy, but mainly because I'm cheap. Actually, to tell you the truth, to be natural, it's actually more expensive sometimes because food and everything and supplements are actually more expensive than some of those other guys. That's one guy did tell me that one time. He said, hey, it would be cheaper for me not to be natural. But you know what? The expense of medical bills, if you take that into account, then that's totally different. Like I know guys that go to the gym and then all of a sudden they'd have these weird like growths and issues going on with their skin or infections and stuff because of putting stuff in their system that was like horrible. And then their immune system started attacking their skin. They'd have to go to the hospital, like emergency antibiotics, almost lose a limb or something. It's pretty brutal. The AC, you've been doing 25 sets for chest twice a week. I think my nervous system is fried. Would you say 15 sets twice a week would be too much? If you're getting fried, it's too much. If you're not getting fried, it isn't too much. That's your answer. So conduct your experiment now. Cut back on your sets. Do 15 sets per body part. Watch my videos on sets and reps. Watch that playlist. It's right down there. Just click on the little thing on playlists and really watch that. And you will get an idea of sets and reps and how to adjust them. Saudi Laura, how you doing? Yeah, McJoker, yeah, your trainer sells drugs. So yeah, don't listen to anything he's telling you. He's full of shit. That's all I'm gonna tell you right now. But you know what? That's how these guys make money, right? They sell a dream. They don't tell you the bad part of it, and then they basically screw you. But then they're sitting there with their money, and then basically you have no health. And they're like, try reaching out to this guy once your health goes to shit and see what he thinks of you, right? See how much he cares then. Then these guys just leave you by the wayside. They don't care. They don't give a shit. Like, yeah, great. At least they got your money. Who cares about you? Yeah, don't listen to people with selfish agendas, right? I'm giving you free advice right now. Yeah, you can buy my training program. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just listen to live chat. Maybe you don't contribute a damn thing. But I'll tell you right now, whether you contribute a damn thing to me or not, my advice is not pushing you saying, hey, you got to buy what I'm saying to you, otherwise you're in trouble. I'm saying even if you don't buy what I'm telling you, you're going to be free of trouble. You're going to be healthier, happier, right? But when somebody's trying to push something on you, saying, oh, don't worry about that. The bullet through the brain, not going to hurt you. Don't worry. I'll sell you this gun and this bullets or whatever. Don't worry. You just have to shoot right here just a couple times. It'll be fine. But they're the ones profiting from the bullets. So that's why they're telling you to shoot them. So yeah, don't listen to advice from people like that. All right, let's do some French curls here. Do a little bit of these here. Just for fun. Okay? So yeah, I can still see you guys. See? How's it going? All right, welcome to Jason's Gym Moments at Natural Bodybuilding. Live stream. Live stream right here from you. Doing a live stream. Mountain. Sometimes I hang the elbows back here. Just stretch the shoulders out. Get the long head, the tricep. When I bring the elbows more forward, then I'm getting more of the medial head, or the head that's close to the elbow, right? So in order to get the results, you want all the heads, right? All the heads. Alejandro Mendez, yeah, thanks for answering your deadlift question. No problem, brother. What's my program looking like? You mean the one I'm doing right now? It's kind of a random sort of dog's breakfast, as they say. Thanks, Devin. Yeah, I just check out my programs there. And if you guys want to contribute to this live chat, you can buy a music album. You know, that's even better than contributing a super chat on here. Because a super chat on here, YouTube takes 50 or 60% or something. So, but if you go to my website, you just contribute on there through buying a music album. You get some music. I get a few dollars from that. So yeah, whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, Bruce Bonson. I just had to do my set. Now I'm on your elbow pain here. How to prevent elbow pain when doing one arm behind the back tricep extension. One arm behind the back tricep extension. So you're doing like this. Is that what you're saying, Bruce? You shouldn't have elbow pain there. It's pretty easy on the elbow. So if you're getting elbow pain, there's a good chance you have some sort of rear delt issue or neck thing going on, or possibly a tricep trigger point of some sort that has to be addressed. Or the other thing is you're irritating the shit out of it when you're doing close grip somehow, or when you're doing some press downs. And because that irritation is already there, then whenever you do anything else with tricep, you're getting an issue. That's the other possibility. Do you think you could fight off a bear if he attacked you? Only if the bear is not that hungry and not really that interested in eating me. And it depends what type of bear. If it's a black bear, possibly, just because black bears have a tendency to just want to run away and maybe hit you, but they're strong enough to kill you for sure if they want, but they're not necessarily aggressive. But a grizzly bear, there's no hope in hell. Like, you're fucked. I mean, if a grizzly bear comes at you, unless you've got a good gun or something, and even if a black bear comes at you and it wants to get you, you're screwed. I mean, there's just no way. They are so strong, so fast, there's nothing you can do. You could try your best to wrestle them down or to jump on their back and ride them like a cowboy, but I don't know. There's this awesome meme actually on Facebook going around, and it actually talked about how to deal with a bear using jiu-jitsu. And it's a step 1, you know, step to the side. Step 2, place your arm under the chin of the bear. Step 3, jump on its back. Step 4, realize that you're dead. It was like, it was the funniest thing. So you're talking, okay, Bruce, you're talking about standing like this. So behind your head, not behind your back then you're talking about, right? I'll just wait for your answer on that. You're a super chat donator, so I have to answer you here. And Matthew, I'll get to you right after I finish this guy, okay? Oh, good, the vid on elbow pain saved you. Thanks. I'm glad, Matthew. Thanks for the donation there. Hey, Bruce, yeah, check out my video on elbow pain if you haven't. How to prevent elbow pain. Yeah, elbow pain, here's how to prevent it. Here, I can't even remember the name of the thing, but it's a video on elbow pain. It's one of my more popular videos, but it's a really good video on that really outlines all the little things about using your triceps and training triceps and how to prevent elbow pain in it. You know what? I got to go and get my freaking cord. I'm at 1% right now, guys.